Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer. We hear about the AI revolution pretty much every single day, right? The algorithms, the software, the massive language models. But today, we're actually going to take a step back from all that software. We're looking at the physical infrastructure that literally makes all of this possible. We're exploring the hidden engine of the AI cloud, specifically through the lens of Ciena's Q2 2026 earnings presentation.
So I want to pose a really direct question to you. Where does the AI cloud actually live? And more importantly, where exactly is this massive projected $1.7 trillion going by the year 2030? Because as we know, the cloud isn't just magically floating up there in the sky. It is deeply, intensely physical.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it grounds that abstract concept of the cloud right into physical reality. Every single AI query you run relies on data physically traveling via beams of light through fiber optics across the globe. These fiber highways are the real physical constraints of our modern world. Without this optical infrastructure, the whole AI boom simply stops in its tracks.
Which brings us to Section 1, the trillion-dollar AI boom. Let's just look at the sheer scale of the financial investment driving this build-out. We are witnessing an unprecedented influx of capital from hyperscalers. We're talking titans like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Meta. Back in 2024, investments were sitting around $435 billion. But by 2026, we're looking at a massive leap to an expected $1.1 trillion, tracking aggressively toward that $1.7 trillion mark by 2030. These tech giants are essentially building massive physical AI factories.
Moving right along to Section 2, the unseen data tsunami.
So where is all that pressure building up? Well, standard user consumption bandwidth, streaming your favorite shows, browsing the web, that's growing at a steady 15% compound annual growth rate. And this brilliantly illustrates the contrast because AI data center bandwidth is absolutely exploding at a 36% growth rate. It's a massive wave of machine-to-machine AI network traffic. These systems are constantly talking to each other, and they demand a level of bandwidth we've just never seen before. Overall, global data generation is just accelerating so rapidly. If you look past the historical climb, the 2026 forecast shows data generation tracking at a 25% overall growth rate. That heavily outpaces historical trends. The sheer volume of data being pushed through our digital pipelines is honestly threatening to burst the seams of our existing infrastructure.
Let's move to Section 3, the optical networking engine, and see how this builds.
Okay, so optical networking has to step up to the plate at literally every layer of the architecture. It's like a giant puzzle. It starts out with the massive long-haul and subsea networks connecting entirely different continents. Then it localizes into metro and regional links, tying the data centers together. And finally, it reaches right inside the data center itself, connecting those AI compute clusters at ultra-high capacities to create one complete end-to-end fabric. And that brings us to the core thesis from Ciena's Q2 2026 report, boldly stated right here. AI requires more optical networking. More optical networking requires Ciena. This matters immensely to anyone who is tracking the global AI boom. If you're investing in, building, or honestly even just using AI, you are deeply relying on the companies that lay these optical tracks.
Let me give you a real-world example. Ciena was recently awarded a major opportunity utilizing their RLS Hyperrail. It's an industry-first multi-rail solution, engineered specifically to connect AI training data centers over distances. When hyperscalers max out power or space in a single facility, which is happening a lot, they have to physically link multiple data centers together so they can operate as a single distributed compute cluster. Hyperrail is the exact technology that makes that architecture viable. It's a real game changer. Which leads perfectly into Section 4. Inside Ciena's global dominance. Looking at their sheer scale and market position right now, Ciena's financial footprint is expanding so fast. They reported $4.8 billion in revenue for fiscal year 2025. But the absolutely crucial metric here is the trajectory. That represents a massive 19% year-over-year growth rate. And that growth is being driven directly by the unprecedented demands of this AI build-out. Their market penetration completely reflects that huge demand. Outside of China, Ciena holds the #1 global ranking in data center interconnect, total optical networking, and submarine networks. They are literally providing the essential plumbing for the global internet and the entire AI cloud. Supporting that kind of global scale requires a massive presence. We're talking coverage spanning over 80 countries with more than 1,700 customers worldwide. They have over 9,000 global employees. Actually, scratch that. The really crazy part is that over 4,500 of them are research and development specialists. Fully half of their entire company is dedicated strictly to innovating the future of optical networking. That just underscores how incredibly complex and fast-moving this physical technology really is.
Let's wrap things up with Section 5, the future of AI infrastructure.
Ciena's Q2 2026 report really highlights their strict operational discipline. They delivered record revenue and a massive backlog while sustaining strong profitability. But the vital takeaway here is the serious momentum behind data center interconnect scale across. These interconnects are accelerating dramatically because customers are rushing to actually monetize their AI investments. They have the chips, they have the software, but now they desperately need the physical connections to operationalize the whole shebang.
So the crucial point is this. The reality of the market right now is intense. As Ciena notes, demand is outstripping supply, which is resulting in multi-year visibility and longer lead times. The digital demand generated by these AI algorithms is moving so incredibly fast that the physical hardware supply chains of the real world are actively struggling to keep pace.
Which leaves us with one incredibly provocative question as we finish today's explainer. Can the physical world actually keep up with the exponential demands of artificial intelligence? In theory, the algorithms can scale infinitely, sure, but as we've seen today, they are ultimately bound by glass, light, and the speed at which companies like Ciena can lay the physical tracks. Definitely keep an eye on this space because it is the true bottleneck of our AI future. Thank you so much for joining me to figure this out and keep learning.